Welcome back to Spring into Math 7. I'm Mrs. Campbell, and today we're going to be talking about comparing and ordering integers. Let's get started. Okay, so before we get started looking at how to compare and order integers, I just want to take a quick minute for a review. You look at your screen, I just wanted to remind you guys that integers are whole positive numbers and their opposites. So for example, an integer would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way on and on and on, and their opposites, which are the negative numbers. -1, -2, -3, and of course 0. Remember, 0 is an integer, but it's neutral, meaning it doesn't have any kind of a positive or a negative value. Also, I wanted to take a minute and talk about integers in the real world. Do we see integers in the real world? Yes, actually we do. And we've talked about this before. The integers help a lot when you're talking about money. You've got profit and loss, or owing and having money. That's one way I like to think when I'm working with integers. Another way that you can think about integers being in the real world is in temperatures. Now here in Southern California, it's not very often that we dip below 0, if ever. But in some parts of the country and all over the place, temperatures can dip below 0, so you have negative numbers there, and positive numbers, of course. So you could have 60 degrees or you could have -6 degrees. Or how about sea level? Think about the ocean, the top of the ocean, and you could go above sea level, and you could also go down under the water and be below sea level. So those are just a few examples of how you can see integers in the real world. Keeping that in mind, you're going to have questions like that on your performance tasks, and lots of word problems will throw things like this at you. An increase of $200. So you've got to think to yourself, okay, what are they asking me to do? Is it a positive integer or a negative integer? Positive 200, negative 200. Well, looking at the word increase, you've probably already figured out it's going to be plus $200. What about down 10%? Well, that's pretty simple. Down, we know that that's going to be negative 10%. Or how about this one? 50 feet below sea level. Well, obviously, it's saying below. Do you have a thought in your mind of going down or up? Of course, down, negative. I also wanted to take a minute and go over absolute value because it's going to be so critical that you have a good working knowledge of absolute value. So remember, that was our very first video. Absolute value is the number of units a number is away from 0 on a number line. So remember how absolute value looks with these long parallel lines. If the problem asks you, I'll make a little square around it there. -15, the absolute value of -15 is 15. Because it's 15 units away from the 0. Think about your number line. That's going to help you a lot if you're trying to remember absolute value. Also, you always want to keep in mind that integers have opposites, that every number's opposite is the same number with the opposite sign. So -5, that opposite of -5 is 5. And the opposite of 125 is -125. And also it's important to remember that 0 is an integer, but it doesn't have any positive or negative value. Okay, also I wanted to take a minute and review the symbols that we're going to be using when we're comparing and ordering integers. So let's take a look. You probably remember this from when you very first started doing math. The alligator mouth eats the bigger number. I simply try to see it as the side of the symbol that's wider, this side, always goes to the larger number. That would mean greater than, this one less than. I'll say this would be 10. I'm sure you guys have seen these before. You get the idea. Then we have equal to and not equal to. The line through the equal sign tells you not equal to. Pretty simple, just a review. Okay, so I want to take a minute and practice some of these. Get our pen going. I want you to actually try these on your own. Pause your video, get some scratch paper, see if you can determine which numbers are greater than or less than. See if you can order these integers. -2, is that greater than or less than -4? -4 and 4, greater than or less than. And then this one's kind of a tricky one. I'm trying to stump you there. See if you can figure that out. Absolute value of -4. Is that less than, greater than, equal to, not equal to -4? Take a minute and try these out. Okay, how'd you do? Looking at the first one, -2 versus -4. If it helps, don't be afraid to draw yourself a number line. You've got a 0 here, and you've got -2 here, and -4 here. Or, again, go back to real world examples. Would you rather owe somebody $2 or would you rather owe somebody $4? 4 is farther away from 0 on the number line. Therefore, the -2 is going to be larger than -4. And the next one's probably pretty simple. You probably figured this one out without even having to draw a number line. That 4, +4, is going to be greater than -4, obviously. And how'd you do on this one? This one was meant to trip you up, but I have a feeling you got it. I asked you, what was the absolute value? Is the absolute value of -4 greater than, less than, equal to, or not equal to +4? Remember, these long parallel lines are asking us what is the absolute value of -4, or rather, how many units is it away from 0? And remember our discussions about absolute value, it's 4 units away from 0. Therefore, 4 equals 4. All right, guys, well, that just about does it for comparing and ordering integers. I hope you've learned a lot, and looking forward to seeing you next time.